Ixma floated in her harness as the ship began docking procedures, forwarded by the humans. She looked out the cockpit's tiny window at the expanse of the human ship. It was odd, not only because of its size, considerably larger than most exploration ships of her own people, but also due to the clearly noticeable ideas of up and down. In space, there was no gravity, so most species built their ships without regard for planetary comforts. In fairness, most species that traveled between the stars had crews no larger than a dozen, and even these were rare. After all, everyone knew that after a few months in space, it was hard to return to the confines of gravity. After a number of years, the usual time frame for interstellar travel, it was impossible without gruesome, often dangerous therapy and medication. Most long-term crews didn't bother returning, confining themselves to life in the void. Colonists were kept in cryosleep until planetfall, and usually a while after for their bodies to get used to the pull of a planet again. With a career path that usually meant no offspring and sparse contact with others, only the desperate, foolhardy, or more often than not both, took the jobs. Ixma chose this career out of desperation. She liked it well enough, especially when meeting newcomers to the galactic stage, if it could even be called that. As most species shared the same biological needs, they shared the limitations of their bodies as well. And so, to find a species who sent hundreds, or at least claimed they did, on an exploration ship, she wondered if the reports of their species being planetary dwellers as well were a lie. She was brought out of her reverie by a low It had the robotic twinge caused by the translator trying to approximate the speaker.
Untar Explorer, this is the human exploration ship Soya. We have difficulty linking our attitude software to your drives. Please rotate your ship 23 degrees right and your inclination 12 degrees up to align with our AGG. Ixma did so, jolting slightly in her harness as the little puffs of nitrogen rotated her ship. She wondered what that last expression was. She never heard the term used before, or why it would require her to rotate the ship. It's not like it mattered how she was oriented, unless... No, impossible, she thought, especially not from a species that joined the truly spacefaring species less than a generation ago. As she finished orienting her ship according to the request, she saw the expanse of the alien vessel. It was huge, easily 250 meters long and 50 meters high and wide. Compared to her tiny one-person capsule, it was insanely large. As her ship neared the location the humans designated as the docking location, on what was clearly the left side of the ship, she saw the hull opening. Makes sense, she thought. With a ship this size, it'd be easy to accommodate other exploration vessels inside, rather than fiddle about with finding a workable docking configuration. As her ship floated inside the cavernous hole, she looked around, curious. Numerous smaller vessels were docked here. She could vaguely guess some were miners, others presumably exploration skiffs or landing ships. Weirdly, all of them were on one side of the room. What was clearly the deck? Why would they waste space? Even on a ship this size, it made no sense to not use all the decking surrounding the bay. Alien weirdness. As her ship puffed to a stop, she saw a number of humans in bulky spacesuits walking, clearly using magnetic boots of some form, slowly towards her ship. They spread a net above her vessel and, gently pulling it, secured it to the deck below. The bay doors closed, and through her ship's hull, she could hear air filling the large compartment. She was chosen for this mission as a welcome committee to the humans, partially because they shared the oxygen-breathing trait, a bipedal form, and, on the humans' request, weirdly, similar gravity needs. The voice on the comm returned.
Pilot Ixma, please do not leave your pilot's chair for a while. We've learned it's much easier on long-term explorers if we come help you out ourselves. Before she could ask why, the voice disconnected. Her ship noted that it has been connected to the larger vessel's intercom system. Shortly after, the request a ship-wide communication was sent. All hands prepare for AGG initialization in 30 seconds. As we have guests aboard, we will be going to Luna Standard for the duration of their visit. She wondered what those words meant. Looking outside, she noticed that all the humans who busied themselves around the bay as one moved towards the apparent floor, attached themselves to it and then put one knee on the floor, seemingly bracing themselves. And then, to her absolute bewilderment, she felt the pull of gravity. Some species built their ships around thrust gravity. That was true, but they were few and far between, as it meant constant use of fuel, which was too wasteful for any long-haul vessels. To do it with a ship this size was decadence she could not believe. Looking at her dashboard, she stared in shock. They were not moving. Well, they were moving. Everything in space does. But they were not accelerating from the extremely high, again an odd request from the humans, orbit around the diplomatic world. How could this be? Two humans holding what seemed to be a gurney walked in. They were very careful not to step on anything that looked like it would not hold their weight against what she guessed was about a fifth of her home planet's gravity. They seemed extremely focused on their task and slightly clumsy. At first she thought it was due to being used to working in freefall, but their movements seemed wrong. Then she realized it was the other way around. They were used to working in much higher pull. Amazing! As they gently moved her aching body from the harness into the gurney, apologizing all the way for the discomfort, she pondered what this revelation could mean to spacefaring species. Gravity on a ship. A number of hours have passed as her body adjusted to the pull of the ship, whose design now made perfect sense. Finally, she met with one of the diplomats on the vessel, shared pleasantries, and made small talk. Finally, the human, whose name she couldn't try to pronounce, finally laughed and spoke about what she was so keen to learn. "I'll be honest, miss, you're the fifth explorer we welcomed aboard. Every one of the previous 4 didn't even wait to get off their ships before asking about the AGG. I'm most curious if your response will be just as different." He said the last thing with a wry smile. "A-G-G?" Ixma said slowly. "That's what makes your ship have gravity, isn't it? And what was the reaction of the other visitors that you find so amusing?" "Indeed, it's an acronym that stands for Apparent Gravity Generators. As for the other visitors, let's see." The human put his hand forward and extended a finger at a time, slowly spoke. "The visitor from Marion fled to his ship and nearly vented our entire atmosphere trying to disengage his ship. As well as the beaterite fainted on the spot. The court shed all of her feathers in an instant, apparently a genetic leftover from when they were hunted on their homeworld and a terror response. Gave our doctor quite the headache, that one. So, shall we see how you fare?" he asked with clear amusement in his voice. "I am fearless, a proud member of a species of hunters. You seem perfectly sane and calm, so why would I react that way to a piece of information that can change the face of space travel for everyone? Lay it on me," Ixma said in a challenging voice, looking straight into the eyes of the alien. "Very well. The AGG is a series of miniature black holes positioned within the keel of the ship. You've not noticed the fluctuations of gravity since we've spent all the time in the medical bay, which has one of the generators directly below us." Pointing down, he finished. "About 5 meters that way." For a split second, she didn't process what the human just said.
It was madness. "Oh, I see," was all she could muster saying before passing out once again.